Welcome to this urgent explainer. We are quietly exiting the information age and stepping into an era of just rapid, complete economic reorganization. For the last 50 years, the global middle class was built on a very simple transaction. It was this traditional economic contract. You went to school, you acquired a specialized digital skill, and you exchanged that cognitive labor for a predictable salary, right? But as we look at the landscape today, that school-to-salary model has officially expired. We are witnessing the birth of something entirely new, and honestly, your financial survival depends on understanding it. Because by 2027, an unforgiving reality is going to set in. An estimated 90% of the population will experience quiet systemic net worth erosion. And the really tragic part, it won't be because they're lazy, not at all. It'll be because their core skills, the things they literally spent years learning, can now be replicated by a machine for pennies on the dollar. This algorithmic disruption is just moving faster than anything we've ever seen before. But hey, don't panic, because this explainer is designed as a concrete survival blueprint for you. Here is our agenda. First, the AI wealth divide. Next, the death of knowledge work, followed by the failure of passive investing. Then we pivot to solutions with mastering algorithmic leverage and wrap the whole shebang up with your survival checklist to help transition you from selling your hours to owning algorithmic leverage. Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, the AI wealth divide, or the algorithmic chasm. The core problem we are facing right now is an economy that is violently reorganizing itself around artificial intelligence. So, think about the old economy. This was based on trading cognitive labor for stability. You learned coding, or maybe financial accounting, or content writing, and a corporation happily paid you for those specialized human hours. But then we look at the new economy. We are aggressively shifting away from human hours worked and moving entirely into an economy governed by algorithmic control. In this new reality, a tiny fraction of elite operators are building generational wealth at just an unprecedented speed. And they're doing it simply because they understand how to direct machines rather than doing the manual digital labor themselves. Let's move to the next topic and see how this builds into a massive shift in the workplace. Which brings us to Section 2, the death of knowledge work, diagnosing the disruption. We really need to explore exactly why corporate entry-level ladders and those traditional high-paying management pathways are just breaking apart right before our eyes. To truly understand how this erosion happens, we have to look at cognitive cost deflation. Historically, in any service business, human labor is the single greatest line item expense, right? If you wanted to scale up, you literally had to hire more people. But autonomous software systems have completely shattered that correlation. What we're seeing is that human labor is rapidly depreciating while competing capital is aggressively appreciating. And you can see this drastic inverse relationship happening right now. Corporate productivity is absolutely skyrocketing upward while administrative salary costs are plummeting. Why is that? Well, because today a single senior project manager equipped with an integrated AI pipeline can actually do the heavy lifting of an entire 5 to 10 person entry-level department. They aren't typing out scripts line by line anymore. They are directing systems. And when those entry-level positions disappear, well, the pathway to high-paying management roles vanishes right along with them. This brings us to a pretty stark anchor point. On one side of the scale, you've got a $20 a month AI system. On the other, a 5 to 10 person entry-level department. If your primary financial security comes from processing data, synthesizing PDFs, or generating standard files, you are essentially trying to outwork a machine. And honestly, you simply cannot outwork a machine that requires no sleep, doesn't ever complain about Monday mornings, and charges exactly zero overtime. It's doing all that for less than the cost of a daily lunch. So what does this all mean for your money? Let's move to Section 3, failure of passive investing, the silent race. Because this technological disruption is actually breaking standard personal finance advice too. For decades, we were all told the exact same thing. Save a small percentage of your paycheck, drop it into a passive S&P 500 index fund, and just wait 30 years. But simultaneously, real-world living costs are absolutely spiking. As automation drives down the cost of software, it paradoxically increases the concentration and cost of real-world assets you actually need, like prime real estate and physical energy. So if your money is just sitting in low-yield traditional accounts while real-world costs are climbing by double digits, you're caught in this silent race. Your purchasing power is actively evaporating behind the scenes due to ghost inflation. This demands a total shift in strategy. So, Section 4, mastering algorithmic leverage, the 1% strategy. Let's look at exactly how the wealthy are exploiting this very divide. So the crucial point here is the concept of algorithmic leverage. In the old economy, your earning potential was tied linearly to your time. 40 hours worked meant 40 hours paid. But algorithmic leverage allows a single operator to deploy code and automated loops that work on their behalf thousands of times over, simultaneously and without the friction of hiring a massive staff. The wealthy just do not work linearly for money anymore. They spend their time engineering automated systems. To make this incredibly practical, consider this result from a real-world side hustle cloning experiment we analyzed. A $1,200 contract closed and fulfilled autonomously in 48 hours while we were offline. No way, right? But that isn't some theoretical trick. It's a literal demonstration of how deploying structural assets vastly outpaces manual human hours. They set up the system once, and it captured cash flow entirely on autopilot. If you want to position your capital on the winning side of this divide, you absolutely must aggressively acquire two specific assets: distribution and data. Now, distribution is your personal brand, human trust in local networks. Why? Because while AI can generate infinite content, it literally cannot synthesize human trust or a long-term reputation. Then there's data, which refers to owning custom prompt architectures and automated logic blueprints. Businesses desperately need these client-facing infrastructures right now, but they kind of don't know how to build them. If you can provide that, you become an irreplaceable asset. Which brings us to the most important part of this whole explainer. Section 5, the survival checklist, your 90-day operational blueprint. This is exactly how you anchor your household securely moving forward. I highly recommend you take some notes or just screenshot this roadmap. These are the 3 exact steps you must execute over the next 90 days. Step 1, audit your hourly value. Step 2, establish an automated pipeline. And step 3, shift your capital into real assets. Let's break down exactly what tools you need to accomplish this. And this brilliantly illustrates your action plan. For step 1, audit your income and identify what predictable digital labor you actually do. Then use tools like ChatGPT and Claude to automate those daily workflows and free up your cognitive energy. For step 2, commit to building at least one automated micro-asset or side hustle. You can use no-code tools like Zapier or Make to bridge real-world business gaps independently of your time. Finally, for step 3, take your excess liquid cash reserves out of legacy systems and invest them actively into appreciating assets and technological fluency. Seriously, make your pivot now, before a market correction forces your hand. The divide between the 90% and the top 1% isn't something you have to fear. It's simply a reflection of changing leverage. If you step up to oversee automated technology, your wealth-building potential is truly limitless. I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. Looking at the current landscape, what is the single biggest financial threat facing your specific career track over the next year? Think about it. Drop your answers in the comments below, and let's keep exploring how to build modern wealth architecture together. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you in the next breakdown.